Yeah, we're live.
Hello, I'm Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 258. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman,
Hey, everybody.
Philip Dassing,
What is up?
Kyle Wagner,
Hey guys.
and Jonathan Dickert.
Taxation is theft.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Way to kick it off.
Oh,
dude.
someone's edgy.
Yeah, dude, he
Stunning
kicked it
effort.
off, man.
Just kidding.
He kicked that shit off, dude. So, okay, topic number one tonight. We've got Biden won South Carolina. Did anybody see this coming? I didn't see Biden winning shit.
Oh yeah, dude. Everyone saw that coming. No, seriously.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
He was supposed to do well there.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to
How
win
much
almost
did he win by?
50%.
Oh wow, it was that
Yeah.
much.
He won almost 50%, and
Oh.
Bernie, I think Bernie was runner-up with about 20%. So he won by like almost 30 points.
Yeah. I mean, as strange as it is, black people really like him.
Whoa.
And black people in the South really like him.
It is strange. Like, what
Yeah.
was? Remember that quote about chains or something? He said something about black people in chains.
No, he said he wanted to hit one of them with the chain.
What, was that corn
Pop?
cob?
That was Corn Pop.
Corn pop.
He wanted to hit Corn Pop with the chain. The baddest dude in South Delaware. I don't know.
Is it because he was Obama's VP? Is that why?
Probably.
I think it's that and just. Yeah, I don't know. He has. I don't know.
What
I
can
think he
you
has
say
some
he's
connection
done?
with.
Like what has he done? Like I look over at everything I'm hearing about is like he tried to ban raves or whatever.
I don't know, man. I mean,
I don't think black
Trump.
people do raves, bro.
I'm saying, what has he done? Like, what's his track
I
record?
heard.
That was really racist.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
just pointing out a fact.
I heard
Wow.
Trump had like the longest Black History Month in 4 years, and I don't know why he's not getting credit for that.
Oh, that's classic.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Classic.
That's Phil's joke, by the way.
It's not my joke.
No, I think
Wow,
that was like
Phil.
the Babylon
Did you
Bee
invent
or
that?
No,
something.
it was hard. No, the Onion. That was actually
The Onion.
Onion.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, I
It
haven't
was
seen much of The
Trump.
Onion.
Trump claims credit for longest Black History Month in 4 years.
Good for him,
That
dude.
leap day, man.
Yeah, my brother was born on Leap Day. We had his birthday.
So
Yeah,
how old is
my
your brother?
grandfather was actually born on Leap Day. So
He's
he-
36. Yeah,
my
but,
grandfather
like,
could only have a birthday once every 4 years.
Yeah,
So wait,
they-
he's 36, which means he's what? Really
9.
9?
yeah. So they
That's
jokingly like have a
like 9 candles on his cake.
Brent's 9th birthday kind of party, and they always
Yeah.
have like a kid theme. So like he and his friends. I went Saturday night.
Yeah.
The theme was I'm gonna butcher the name. It was some Pixar movie with The Rock.
Oh,
Yes.
Moana or whatever.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the theme. I had never heard of this movie, but anyway.
Never seen it, but I'm
Yeah.
aware of it.
So this election, I think everybody was really surprised. They knew Biden was going to win. He was projected to win, but I don't think people were expecting to win by as much as he did, and it really brought him back into the race. You know, he's in solid second place now behind
Mhm.
Bernie, and I think a lot of people, including me, were starting to write Biden off. You know, I think he looks kind of like the Crypt Keeper, and he's just kind of. He's just kind of old and decrepit, and he uses like really antiquated things like corn pop or whatever, and you know he talks like he's really out of touch. He talks about I don't know, what's that record player that he was talking about?
Record player?
It was that,
Victrola?
I don't know,
Phonograph?
something like that. He was like listening
Victrola?
to music on the old. He said something, that record player with the horn. Anyway, yeah, I thought he was done, and now he comes storming back, and I think a lot of at least the news that I was watching was saying it's a 2-person race at this point between him and Bernie. I don't know if that's true. I really think you have to wait until Super Tuesday. I mean, Bloomberg's betting it all on Super Tuesday. Maybe Bloomberg could come back. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh man. So how did Bloomberg fare in the latest?
He's not even been in these races.
So
I
he's
don't
not
think
even-
I don't think he's on the ballot.
Mm.
I think he was too late to enter, and so
So what does he have to do? Just is he? I imagine he'll have to be on for Super Tuesday, right?
he's betting it all on Super Tuesday.
So,
So he's
okay.
spending all this money on on
$500 million on
ad-
Super Tuesday. Jesus.
advertisements and stuff like that. I mean,
it was Victrola, according to top fan Dale.
what was it?
Victrola.
I thought
It's
that's
like
like
the old-
Victoria. From here, I was like, what's
Dude,
Victoria?
you need to get your eyes checked.
Okay.
Longtime libertarian. He thinks that Warren is still in it, you know, and she only has like 8
See,
delegates.
that's weird because she's polling even. I mean, she's polling horribly, or not polling, but rather her results are terrible too. She's not even getting like more than like 5 or 6%, I think.
Yeah, and I see it as she and Bernie have the same base. They both have that
Though I think she was waffling on that as well. So
Really?
they kind of see her as like the establishment's sort of Bernie doppelganger. you know?
Wow.
Warren has become the person now that's being advised by Hillary Clinton.
Mhm.
So that is probably not something that you can appreciate if you're a far left progressive.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have been hearing about the possibility of a it's way over the top, but saying that the Democratic Party is going to split up because the progressive wing and the establishment wing, there's so much division. I just don't know. I don't know if it's all real or not. Like I felt like with the Ron Paul campaign that the libertarian wing of the Republican Party, if you will, was really outside of the establishment. I really felt like we're trying to take over here, and these people want nothing to do. They would be fine with any of these other candidates except Ron Paul.
Mhm.
I really felt like outsiders. And so like Jack Hunter made a post about, he was like, oh, I just want to applaud all the people who voted for Sanders and went against the Democratic establishment. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, is he really that much of an anti-establishment vote? Is that whole... I mean, I feel like, first of all, he's like half the party at this point, or
Well, and I think
40% of it.
I think this comes on the topic too. I think it is because like I think the reason like Buttplug pulled out was like to kind of like
You've been saving
yeah
that,
to kind of like throw his votes behind another candidate and give Bernie more competition.
Oh, so do you?
Yeah,
do you
because I
think
mean,
he's,
look, think about it right
maneuvering?
now. Think about it right now. Bernie's doing pretty well, but if you get rid of some of these establishment candidates, those establishment votes are going to go to other candidates, hence give Bernie more competition. So my guess
That's exactly
is,
what's going on.
yeah.
That's
So
the theory as
so
to
my guess
why-
is somebody told Bernie, or so somebody told Buttplug, like, hey, this is not your time. You're young. Don't
Yeah.
worry. Wait
He's
4
kissing the
years.
ring, and he's going to be considered a rising star going forward.
Yeah.
Well, that's the theory behind, or a theory behind, why Warren is still sticking around. Is people think she's trying to, because she does have, to your point, she does have a little bit of overlap with Bernie supporters. Kind of like the not as radical, not as far left Bernie supporters, or socialist sympathizers.
I don't know if she has as many Bernie supporters after a couple debates ago.
No,
Well,
she doesn't.
sure,
I
but
think she
but
does.
but I'm just saying there are people who, if Warren drops out, would probably go over to the Bernie ticket. I think there is
Yeah.
some overlap in that sense.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
So there, the theory, who knows if this is true, is that she's being pushed to stay into the race to detract from Bernie's campaign, split his votes up. I don't know if I buy that per se.
Yeah. My favorite candidate, Tulsi, is still at 0. So
Yeah.
as expected, she's
What's up with the Tulsi dog? She's still running.
she is still running. She hasn't suspended her campaign yet, and she's still at 0. I was gonna take a picture of the graphic with her face and the big old 0 next
What's up
to
with
it.
you backing losers, man?
I don't know. I just
What's
I
that
was
about,
thinking
dude?
about it
What's
the
up with
other
you and
day.
failure?
Yeah, when he's not backing the blue, he's backing losers.
I was just like,
Hey, Kyle, didn't you call Tulsi a pilf?
I
I guess
don't
it's the
think I
same
did.
thing.
No,
I thought you said that. Okay.
No.
What's a pilf?
Pussy?
Politician.
Politician?
Politician.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just, I think that the, and all libertarians can probably sympathize with this. It's just most of the country does not think the same way that I think. I'm like, I hear all these people talking about raising taxes and increasing government spending, and I don't want to hear any of it. I'm like, and I feel like taxes are way too high as it is. And Bernie's talking about, 50% federal tax rates, and that then you have to remember you have state tax on top of that and sales tax, and then you're up into like, you could have people paying 75% of their income in taxes, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But a Democrat could hear that and go, yeah, that's fair,
But it's only for the rich people. Like, guys, they're trying to explain to you. It's not going to affect us. Only rich people.
Well, that's what
The
they said about
1%.
that's what they said about the income tax.
Millionaires and
When
billionaires.
it was
I mean,
first
billionaires.
passed, when the income tax was first passed, it was only on people that were making like $1 million and up
I
or
know.
something,
Really?
which at that time was like no one. You know, so
Right.
it always is the camel's nose under the tent, right? It always starts with, oh, it's just on the rich, and then it doesn't make nearly enough money.
Not a
to
camel toe? What?
the camel's nose under the
Oh,
tent.
I
If
thought
you
said
imagine,
camel toe under the tent. I'm
if
like,
it's a
what?
saying, Phil.
I've
If you
never heard
imagine,
that
if
saying
you imagine
before.
a circus
Wow, dude, read
tent,
a fucking book.
imagine a
Sorry,
circus.
Mises didn't talk about that.
Imagine a circus
I only read
tent.
Austrian economics
Right, that's
authors.
I'm lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts with the nose, the camel just sticking his nose under there, and eventually the whole damn camel is in the tent, right where he doesn't
Yeah, dude.
belong.
Even its toe.
Even
Even
the
the
camel
camel
toe. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
All right.
He's got a lot of them.
I'm very pro camel toe.
Anyway, yeah. So
Interesting.
like Matt said,
Bold stance.
Buttplug, Buttigieg is out, and what else happened? Steyer is out, another billionaire. You know,
Backed his ass
apparently
out of out of the election.
apparently the dancing didn't work. I
No.
don't know.
Well, that was like the weird thing too, because didn't that video just break like yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that video just broke yesterday. So I mean, before that, honestly, I didn't even know that this guy was in the election.
Right.
I don't know. It could be
So
I've
wait.
just been high the entire time.
Did he just
But-
pay Juvenile a bunch of money?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so I would think like after that,
That's
this is like this guy's first big piece
Hurrah.
of yeah, exactly. I would think dropping out after that,
But he looked so happy during the dance. You know, it's like it was the most awkward, pandering thing. And I was just thinking about
Kinda
how
racist almost,
how
in a way.
cringeworthy it is when people are fake, when they try to be something that they're not. You know, you've got a rapper on stage and you're trying to dance along with the rap song like you're hip or something. It just he looked so out of place and so awkward and like such a poser. I just thought it looked terrible, and it just is like, I mean, it's a good lesson to everybody. Just be true to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, just be yourself and don't try to fake it and be something that you're not. Like,
Inspirational.
yeah,
Kyle.
a lot of younger people especially do that because they want to fit in. But like even adults, you're trying to be cool and you're trying to show people you're hip. Meanwhile, you're this like 70-year-old.
fellow kids.
Yeah, hello, exactly. It's like that meme,
Yeah.
hello fellow kids. Like you're not fooling
Yeah,
anybody,
children. Right.
Anyway, check out that video. if
But
you
isn't that
haven't
what
seen it.
all politicians kind of do?
I don't
They're not
think
necessarily like going that deep into it where they're like pandering to like in that way, but they are all kind of pandering. Unless
Yeah,
it's,
they
like, Ron
are.
Paul.
Yang literally was like, "I'll pay you $1,000 a month if
Well,
if you
That's
vote
more
for me."
bribery.
that was bribery.
Pandering
yeah.
is like just pretending that you care about people.
They do
When
it
I
to
just
some
don't,
extent.
I don't really believe that they care about people at all.
Well, all right, that's a fair point, but
Fair
like.
point.
But yeah,
I
I get
don't-
what you're saying. It's not to that level of like coming out to like a rap song from 1995.
Yeah, this was really an extreme example. So, did you see the video?
No, I didn't.
You, did not
You
see the
got
video
it.
of him
You have to
backing his
check this
ass
video
I want to
out.
see it now.
Yeah.
It was a great song, by the way.
So, what was the other the Public Enemy thing?
Yeah, Matt had the docs on that.
Matt,
Okay,
Yep.
I mean, yeah. So I read a little bit about this. So apparently, I think it's Chuck D from the old Public Enemy has endorsed Bernie Sanders, but it's been billed as Public Enemy endorses Bernie Sanders, and Flava Flav's not having any of that because he's come out and with his lawyers and said that he is not endorsing Bernie Sanders, and Chuck D doesn't speak for all the members of Public Enemy. And apparently, there's like some Bernie rally that's scheduled in California, where
Oh yeah.
it's billed as Bernie Sanders and Public Enemy, but it's really just Bernie Sanders and Chuck D.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked.
Apparently, same thing happened with Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. He apparently somehow, somewhere along the way, someone said that he or the band endorsed Bernie Sanders, and everyone was like, "What? Like, didn't you play at that like Rock Against Socialism thing like back in the day, or against Russia or something like that?" And so he went to Twitter and was like, I have never endorsed a socialist, and I'm never. He's like, and I'm never going to endorse a socialist.
Dude, speaking of,
Didn't he endorse Donald Trump though?
I don't know.
Heyo.
Probably. I don't know.
Dude, speaking of mistaken endorsements, did you hear about the Garth Brooks thing?
Oh my god, that was hilarious.
Did you guys hear about this?
It's a
So
sports
so
ball.
Garth
It's a sports
Brooks.
ball.
Yeah, this is a sports ball story, but Garth Brooks was playing in Detroit,
He was
right?
in Detroit.
He was in Detroit, and like Barry Sanders, I guess, is a big
He's
Garth Brooks fan.
No.
What?
What?
I mean, Garth Brooks is a Barry.
Or yeah, sorry. Garth Brooks is a big Barry Sanders fan. So
Jared,
he
you're
came out.
confusing everybody, dude.
So he came out. Barry Sanders being the running back, legendary running back.
Almost everybody who knows Barry Sanders is a big fan.
Sure. For the Detroit Lions.
He was a great player.
So he came out and he had on a Sanders jersey, and Sanders jersey happens to say, obviously, Sanders on the back.
Oh.
And then
Sanders.
also
It said B.
B. Sanders. And then also it's the number 20 was his number, which seems like 2020. So like all these dumbass boomers who like have never heard of Barry Sanders, I guess,
Wow.
The boomers have
thought he was
You mean
endorsing Bernie Sanders.
Is it millennials? 'Cause the boomers would have heard of Barry Sanders.
I
mean,
don't know. It was a good mix. I thought.
It was it was just stupid like Trump supporters that were like,
wow.
so
What
that were like,
now that you
I am
pointed
no
out-
longer a Garth Brooks fan because he's endorsing a socialist.
No.
Yeah, that's
were-
quite a coincidence. It's like
It
B.
is kinda funny,
Sanders
yeah.
20. Like you can't even line it up. You line it up just perfectly
Yeah, it's
to seem like you're endorsing Bernie.
right. It's
weird.
pretty hilarious. I
Yeah,
mean, he
I
probably
think-
had no
I
idea.
think what threw everyone off too, it was their new jersey, like one of the new style with the like modern day uniform that was
Wow.
made to say. So if it was a throwback one that said that, I'm sure people would immediately connect to that. But since it was a new one, I think people just were like, wait a minute, like.
Yeah.
At first glance, everyone's an idiot and didn't think about the context. Because it just started, it was a picture of him walking to the stage, and someone took a picture from behind. I think he has a cowboy hat on, and he's walking to the stage, and it says B. Sanders 20. And like people lit it the fuck up on like Instagram and Twitter.
Is he a Democrat?
I don't think
Garth
so.
Brooks? I mean, I
No,
think
he's probably. I mean,
it's got to be like a death sentence to be.
he would never do that. He would never. He's
What
not.
happened to Dixie?
He's
Chicks,
got to be a
okay,
fairly
guys?
intelligent man to be that. Have that much of a superstardom going on. Like he can't be a complete idiot and wear like a fucking Bernie for president shirt. you
Yeah,
know?
all those people like they try to remain somewhat neutral in politics because they don't want to alienate any of their audience.
Yeah.
But also, I do think the country
Kyle,
audience.
what about your boy Kid Rock?
Yeah, he's good. What is he?
He was trying to trying to run for mayor of Detroit, wasn't he?
Is he a Trump
I think he
guy?
was trying to
Yeah,
run
he's
for
a
senator.
huge Trump guy.
Was he running for
Wow.
senator?
I think there was talk about it. I don't think he
Yeah.
really did. But
Yeah.
but back to the Garth Brooks thing real quick. There was a similar misunderstanding last year in baseball. There was a baseball player on the Angels who died suddenly, unexpected. I don't remember what the cause of death turned out to be, but he was number 45, and so a lot of players around the league that knew him wanted to memorialize him and remember him by sketching a little 45 on their hat or on their shoe or something like that. And there were some people that were upset, not understanding what this 45
'Cause they thought it was-
about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
for
that.
Trump.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember. That's hilarious though. That's funny.
I know Taylor Swift. I watched the Taylor Swift documentary on Netflix.
Why?
And she was
Why would you watch that?
it was not my choice,
J.O.
but
session?
Oh,
Oh, no.
I watched
This
some
was a
things that
Netflix
my
and
girlfriend
chill
wants to
situation.
watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah. So, well, she fell asleep, and I stayed awake and watched the rest of the documentary. But anyway, she was always told to like muzzle her political views and stay neutral, and then turns out she's like a raging Democrat, basically.
Now, I'm sure. So convenient. You get in the spotlight, and the most hardest stance to ever have to take is, guys, I'm a liberal.
Well, yeah, but she's not really. She's not
Stunning
really a
and brave.
country. She started off kind of
was.
in the country thing,
She's
right?
more of a pop person
She's more
now.
just like a pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was mostly about homosexual or gay marriage. It's about gay marriage in Tennessee, and there was like a Republican congresswoman or whatever that she didn't like. And so
dude.
she tweeted out, it was
It's a
funny.
deep sigh for gay marriage.
It was
No, it's just
funny
her- no, right.
for her, like,
Keep
she has all this anxiety about sending one tweet, right? Because it's going to go out to like 100 million people, and you
Same
really
here on the PRL podcast. Like when I send out a tweet, I'm just
Yeah.
so worried. You
So-
know?
so- but it's weird to think
pressure is
about,
high.
like, can you imagine having that big of a mouthpiece where it's like, I'm going to say something and take a stand on something and take a position, and I really need to think about how I phrase it because this shit is going to get shared.
You have to
And
think
pretty
about
much-
everything that could go wrong.
Yeah, pretty
could
much
get-
the
you could get
entire
death
world
threats.
is going to see what I said about this. So, anyway, I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, but it's not like she's taken a stance that wasn't very popular.
Yeah.
Oh,
What would you say to 170
I
million
mean, if she
followers?
came out there and was like, taxation is theft, then I'd be like, all right,
Right?
Yeah.
preach.
It's like I'm gonna enjoy this
She would get, like,
session even more.
90 million unfollows. People would hate her. And the Fed, maybe.
Yeah, and
No.
the Fed.
Yeah, anything remote. Like, hey, maybe
And
we
the
should
wars.
scale back these
And the
wars.
wars,
Oh.
Yeah,
yeah.
like, you know.
I
Pull
forgot
out.
to put that topic on the board, man.
I
Did
told
you
to
guys?
put it on there.
I missed it. Did you hear about the
We all heard
Afghanistan
about
deal?
Yes.
We did. It's
Well, apparently they've already like reneged on it
Oh,
or
What?
something like that. Well, they've
that was
okay.
the last 7 deals they worked out.
Well, no. So there was they didn't renege on it, but it was
Oh, easy.
shut up. so they they there was a part of the deal that required the Taliban to release, I don't know, 5,000 prisoners or something like that.
okay.
And it was like a precondition. It was like a precondition to actually agreeing to it. So it was like, you do this, then we'll sign this deal. It wasn't like we'll sign the deal and then you do that.
Were they 5,000 Americans? They can't have been American.
I don't
prisoners.
No,
I don't
they weren't
think it's
Americans. They're probably
yeah.
Afghani soldiers that we trained. And
Yeah.
Okay.
maybe some
Probably
journalists
also radicals.
or
some of them.
CIA.
I didn't know they had 5,000 prisoners,
I
and
didn't hear about this.
it's hard for me to imagine that they could feed and support and just house 5,000 men.
Maybe it was 1,000.
But
You're kind of
the Taliban
kind
owns
of
more
missing
territory.
The point. The
Yeah.
point is that they wanted them to release a whole bunch of prisoners that they had.
Okay.
And
So did they do
but
that?
No, they're saying they're not going to do that until the deal is signed.
Oh, so one side saying do it and then we'll sign the deal, and
Right.
the other side saying we're not going to do it
Until you sign
until
the
the
deal.
signing deal. Yeah. Okay.
So
Weird.
at least that's the last thing I read. So
The last thing I read was that they agreed and that we were going to be ending the 18-year war in Afghanistan. So that
Yeah,
was
in
like
14
earlier
months,
this
they said
afternoon.
they're gonna bring all the troops home. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
that's-
believe it when I see it.
and there were other contentions in there that were like or conditions that were like if basically they can't even say boo, or the contract is null and void. Like, so if at any time Pompeo decides not quite ready, we need to get some more of them poppy seeds,
Right.
then they can just say, oh, we found, a military serviceman was shot or something like that.
Yeah,
And
there'll be
then-
a car bomb. There'll
or
be
a car bomb,
something.
or an
like-
IED goes off
Yeah.
that's been
Right.
there for like fucking 20 years. Look, I'm always hopeful. I always want this to have a positive ending, but let's not get our hopes.
There'll be no happy
Hope so.
ending at the end of this massage, my friend.
I haven't seen that in 18 years,
Right.
quite frankly. So, I
It's
mean,
pretty surprising, yeah.
it's surprising and good. I'm shocked, absolutely shocked, because I know Trump has lots of neocons in his cabinet, and he hasn't exactly been a peace president. So I'm really surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Holding my breath though.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath.
Hmm.
It's kind of stinky, so
All right.
I should hold it.
What else we got on here? Fakertarians versus Mises. Phil
Yeah.
doesn't want to talk about this, so I think we should talk about
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So Kyle, why don't you start with what you know?
I'll start with what I know.
What do you know?
I
Correct
started I kind of just, I'm in Facebook, and I'm in the Fakertarians group, and I follow their page, and I'm in the Mises group, and I follow their page, and I started seeing this flurry of posts from John Hudek, who runs Fakertarians, about really it's kind of been building up over the past couple weeks. There was an attack about some comments that Dave Smith had made when he interviewed Chris Cantwell a few years ago, right after Charlottesville, where Dave Smith had said something like, he sympathizes with the alt-right, and I forget what else he said.
Well, he made a joke about how trans people are liars.
Oh, yeah, he made a joke about how trans people are
It's like,
liars.
come on. It's
And, they threw him under the bus for it, and
It would have
I
came
know.
out then, but I guess somebody's on a
they're on a fishing mission.
they're trying to do something.
And they're trying to bring down Dave Smith, and I know a lot of them are very
By
leftist.
extension, the Mises Caucus. You think?
Yes, exactly. And John Hudek was also with the Mises Caucus. He was one of the moderators for the Facebook group, and he stepped down a few months ago because of just internal problems with what he saw as like alt-right people being allowed in there allegedly. And I mean, there's definitely there's people in every group. There's people in our group who seem normal, and all of a sudden they'll make a post that just kind of outs themselves
There's
as
people on
like,
this podcast.
yeah, I
I'm
know.
looking at.
yeah.
Yeah. Whoa, hey.
Well, I've got alt-right and people in my group, and I would say Matt's one of the people that's really called me out about. He's like, hey, you allow these people to post racist shit, and
Matt
you
who?
won't. Matt Bergman,
Oh.
the guy sitting next to you, man.
Wait,
yeah, he's
that's,
like
that's
he's
anti-racist.
yeah, he's anti-racist, and
Stunning and brave.
I will delete stuff that I think will jeopardize the group. But if people word their things in a certain way, like that's not obviously the N-word or what have you, I let it slide, and I let people.
I mean, why, dude? It's like it's racism for the purpose of racism. It has nothing to do with libertarianism, and it's like really, it kind of alienates anybody who isn't white supremacist.
I mean, I don't know if they're alienated. It kicks off an argument, right? It kicks off long comment threads and arguments, and
So if somebody
just
says
think
like
that-
Jews control the media, this is a positive post for your group. You think?
no, it's not positive. It's I would debate it, right? I would discuss it. Like
it
really,
just seems
there's-
like you're
for
not even
me-
recognizing Jared's Jew card right now.
I recognize that Jared's a Jew, but
Recognize.
I would have a literal conversation about Jewish ownership in the media, and I would be like,
Ownership,
look,
like slaves.
no, I'd be like, look, there's ideologies tend to drive what people think, and there's lots of people in media who aren't Jewish. What about all those people? It's just like you can't ascribe
The
everything
Gentiles.
that happens to the Jews. I mean, it's just ridiculous. How many of these journalists are non-Jewish? How many of these owners are non-Jewish? How many of these networks are non-Jewish?
Yeah.
Like, it's not fair to be like, oh, this is all the Jews. It's just like not based in reality.
Right.
Now, they do own a number of networks that are powerful in Hollywood and all that, but it's like, okay, and yeah, you don't agree with them. Well, I don't agree with like most people in America. I don't agree with how they vote. Are Jews voting, Democrat? Like, is the entire Democratic base Jewish? No,
well,
they're not.
Kyle, I do respect that you're so about like not censoring people. I do respect that. But at the same time, I get pretty pissed off when you censor my sexy time memes.
Yeah. So I do delete Matt's memes because
I always laugh at him
That-
first before
it's-
they get
it's-
deleted.
his memes.
Well, it's kind of weird because you're like, racism's okay because we can have a discussion. But what about the discussion about
All
my
right,
sexy time memes?
the one you posted the other day is like a porn star, right? And she's on her knees and she's holding her butt cheeks open. And he posts like it's a picture of like, what was it? It was like a cave or something where her butt is supposed to be. I don't know what it was. What was that cave thing?
Wasn't it like Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah, it
going
was
down the rabbit hole or
Alice in
something.
Alice in Wonderland hole. That's what it was.
Going down the glory hole.
Right. Yeah.
It was something like
That's
that.
Wait, hold on.
and-
We're getting a little off track. We're talking
No,
about
this is
Alice
funnier.
in Wonderland
This is
glory
funnier.
holes. No, I want to hear. So, what
Okay,
happened to Hudak?
alright.
Did he leave the group or
Yes,
something?
he kind of like I've had a few interactions with him. I think he's generally a good guy. Now he got on Dave Smith's case about some of the things people he had Nick Fuentes on, a lot of people that are very controversial that any type of person who leans left would be very upset about. So he went on a kind of little mini crusade, him and Fakertarians, against Dave Smith. And then he actually invited Dave Smith on at kind of like, he kind of got, I don't know how I should say this, but he kind of, let's just say the Mises Caucus people said, yeah, you should have John on. He's a good person. You should have him on. And Dave was like, okay, I'll have him on. It was kind of like a one-sided podcast. I don't know if any of you guys heard it or not.
Yeah, I heard it.
So, and John really didn't do a good job defending himself. And I feel like Dave kind of didn't really do a good job, like, giving him room to talk either. So it's one of the things I'm just like, I kind of like both people here, and it's kind of just like an odd thing to be going against. Well, finally, he kind of left the Mises Caucus group and said, I'm leaving. I'm giving up my, I'm still friends with Joshua Smith and with Michael Heiss, but I'm just stepping away from my roles as that, with the Mises Caucus, but I still am kind of going to be involved. So, well, then this thing came to head where one of these guys in the Mises Caucus group, who I've never heard of, I was never friends with this guy, but he said someone got on this whole, it's just like one of those things, like a random comment, they got on this talking about like immigration, and so his response was Europe is for Europeans. And that triggered everyone in the Fakertarians group, and it got him really and so apparently there was also at the same time this was going on, there was backdoor discussions because everything with the Mises Caucus is they handle their stuff, they police their own, and you have to have a certain decorum.
Wait, so saying Europe is for Europeans is somehow racist?
Well,
or?
they're saying so. Mike,
I mean, isn't that just a truism? I mean, America's for Americans, right? I mean,
in a sense, but in the context,
you are in trouble, buddy.
what's that?
You're in trouble now.
Yeah,
but anybody,
yeah.
I think everybody should be able to become an American. I mean, I don't think there should be borders or countries, whatever, blah blah blah. But like in the current state of things, I don't. Is it controversial to say America's for people that want to be American?
Oh yeah. Or
yeah,
for
it's
America, it's not for wannabe. It's America is for Americans. You will get lambasted for that.
Lambasted
Or lambasted. What is it? Lambasted?
Lambasted.
Okay.
Lambasted.
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 All right. And yeah, you can't say that.
just got blasted.
I mean, you technically can say it, but
Well,
somebody will
so-
be very upset,
so-
because it implies that you're anti-immigrant.
I mean, it's one thing if you say like
and-
America is for white people, or
Yeah.
Europe is for white people.
No,
that's
no, but
wrong,
you're being anti-immigrant, right? So you're anti-Mexican immigrant, and all the South American countries, and that's basically it.
So John got into an argument with Michael Heiss because John wanted this guy, I guess, gone from the group, and Mike was like, "Look, this isn't enough, to whatever you're trying to say about him. I've seen different. I don't know exactly because I was trying to stay out of it. What is that? What is that?
We lost.
Phil. I don't know what is he trying to say.
I don't know.
What are you trying to say, Stefan?
Is this microphone working?
I don't know.
might be-
Yeah. Did you lose my mic or just what?
No. I think he's talking.
There's
like
a comma
we lost
there.
the battle against leftism or something. Leftism.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe
Well,
something
anyway.
like that.
So they got into a fight with Michael Heiss, but there was already background discussions about some questions brought up about this guy Jesse Miller, and people were already suspected. And I had seen some things from him, and to be honest, certain other people in the group that made me feel uncomfortable because of the stuff they were saying. And there was a guy that we had in our own group named Brian. You guys remember him? He had the, you banned him, I think.
Brian Hofstadter?
yes.
Yeah, he started posting some like anti-Semitic shit.
Right, and he was on point and agreed, I think, with everything else he'd said, and then all of a sudden, boom, with the anti-Semitic shit. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, really? And I guess he got too comfortable and thought he could just go around saying that shit. And
Well, see, in Kyle's group, that shit would be cool.
Dude, you really triggered Matt.
I know. Yeah.
But
Yeah, and my group is always a tenuous because I have these far left guys in there too, and that stuff doesn't fly, and they report those guys, and both of them report each other. They all hate each other.
And you only delete my memes of sexual liberation.
Not only I delete other stuff too, but I mean not much. Like I just really just let the shit show happen. I mean
Are
part
you
of the
concerned
whole
about all the reporting like causing the group to get shut down?
A little bit. The group is in jeopardy because we had like
what group is
another
it?
AVM. Another moderator approved a post that went against
Wasn't me.
Facebook's community standards, and I have also approved another post
That
that
was you,
went
bud.
against Facebook's community standards. So it says like
Kyle,
There's a
Kyle, when
warning
am I
on-
going to be a mod, dude?
there's a flag on the
Kyle,
group.
wait, Kyle,
Only,
you're,
I'm the mod. I'm a mod.
you're
right?
avoiding
You're a
the
mod.
question.
Yeah,
Kyle,
flex
when
that
am I going to be a
muscle,
mod? When are you going to crown me mod, dude?
Any day now.
Any day.
Yeah. No,
Any
there's
day now.
a there is a
Hold your
warning
breath.
that says like your group is in jeopardy because moderators have approved posts that went against Facebook's community standards. So
shit.
it's like, and the one that I approved, I mean, it was the one girl Marissa made a
We will
post
not
that
be
like
replaced.
there was like men suck or something like that, and that's what it was.
Really?
And
Yeah, it was
and
something weak.
it was really weak. Yeah, I mean, she was just making like a bait post or whatever. It wasn't even that bad. And they're just very strict. You guys know.
Yeah.
Phil
Yeah.
knows. R.I.P.
Oh, I know.
Phil.
Okay,
Otto knows
so
too.
Kyle,
They
you're
killed
saying,
Phil.
Kyle, you're saying
He
that
had this rage quit thing where he said, I'm officially cutting all my ties with the Mises Caucus, that Michael Heiss is allowing white nationalists in his group, and just bullshit. And like, and at that, okay, it's fine. You can have that opinion. I know very little John, but I've had good interactions with him. I know he's coming from a good place. I just didn't agree with what he did. And then he did something very underhanded and cheap as well, is he went to a delegate Facebook group for the Libertarian Party and posted the same thing of saying why he's leaving the Mises Caucus.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really fucked up to say, because there was already discussions about this guy Jesse Miller because he had said some other questionable stuff, and
So he has a history.
he has a little history, but it wasn't enough until finally all the stuff came to light. I have screenshots of he made like just all these like we need to start questioning about the Jews. The Jews are in control of the media, and why does no one talk about them and how they see everything's victims and they were actually the oppressors and just random shit
So
like
it turns
that.
out Hudak was right.
Yes, but he wasn't right because that stuff was already coming to surf. Like that was already being discussed like before those were found, and I think I guess he pulled the trigger too fast to start condemning Michael Heiss when this was already something that was being discussed from what I was told and from my very little inside knowledge on this situation. And I felt like I understand where Hudak was coming from, and I definitely understand where Michael Heiss is coming from. We just don't want to start saying, oh, you're a member of our group and we've had great interactions with you. No, but someone said you're racist, so we're booting you. You know what I mean? Like, so, but they did. They digitally removed him, threw him from the internet helicopter. So to speak.
And it's attributing one person's words to the entire group. It's like,
Right.
oh, there's this guy in the group that they've allowed to stay in the group that's a white nationalist, so therefore I have to disassociate with the entire group. You know, and he's attributing that person's views to the entire group, and that's not right. You know.
Yeah.
So and Fakertarians, I mean, I think does some good as far as calling out fake libertarians. I mean, they were all over like Augustus Invictus and Chris Cantwell and some of these other people.
Yeah.
But it's
And
also
Joshua Smith started that with Hudak and a few other people.
It's
so,
also a little bit of a witch hunt, right? Because if you're
it
really
is. It
trying to
definitely is.
police something, it's a slippery slope to turning into somebody that's just always looking out for signs and red flags. It's like a Southern Poverty Law Center where you just like eventually,
Fakertarians isn't profiting off of that like
right,
Southern
but
Poverty Law
you know,
Center.
if you're constantly on the hunt, eventually you find what you're looking for. You know, or if it's not there, libertarians have different views on various topics like abortion and immigration. Not a whole lot on foreign policy, maybe a little tiny bit, but not much. You know, so some of this stuff is just political disagreement. We tend to, I think all libertarians are pro pot for the most part. You know, pro legalization.
I don't know, dude. If you like Liberty
No,
Hangout,
I
if you want to call
wouldn't say like all libertarians are pro pot. I mean, they're pro legalization, but not necessarily pro weed.
right.
Or
Like, you know, 'cause I know
anti-prohibition.
some libertarians who think like pot is really stupid. They just don't think it should be illegal. You know.
All right,
I don't know if we're calling Liberty Hangout libertarians. They're
not. They're not
They-
libertarians anymore.
Well, that's where
they're not.
you
at
get
all.
into this sort of thing where it's like, well, who is and who isn't in the club, and there's, in my experience,
There's actually no one in the club really.
a lot of variation. You know, there's a famous
all
meme
fake.
of
We're all fake
I was gonna say,
libertarians.
they don't let your people in that.
there's that famous meme of Simpsons Willie being like, you know, you're not,
Right,
you're
yeah.
ruining libertarianism or
Yeah.
whatever it is. It just
That's a classic
there's
scene.
famously a ton of infighting in this movement. So when there's so much disagreement over what libertarian means and what the position should be, it becomes very hard to define and then police and call out the fakers.
Yeah,
So.
and it got really heated. It didn't need to go that far, and I think and it was good. I thought it was awesome because a lot of people, when they found out that the Mises Caucus removed this guy Jesse Miller from the group, that they were like, "Oh, I can't believe you do that," and and this free speech, no, this is a political standards of the caucus, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, those people are just idiots. The people that yell about free speech. First of all,
I
there's
know,
no free
I know.
speech on Facebook. Sorry, there's no such thing as free speech on Facebook.
Really not, yeah.
You can kick somebody out of your group for whatever reasons you want.
And people rage quit. They were like, "Oh, good." I'm like, "Well, you know what? If you're gonna take the side of this guy who's clearly a white nationalist, and we're all
But
trying
these
to,
aren't even people that are probably active at all. They probably just
probably
joined the
not,
group
yeah.
because oh, it's cool.
yeah,
But
but
they're like, how many of people are actually active and are actually gonna try and be delegates or
not like us.
or even donate money?
You're right.
Well,
You
I've
know.
always thought it was a problem with the Libertarian Party in general and the philosophy itself. It's like,
Yep.
you can only be so tolerant before you get people talking about, there should be no age of consent and they want to sleep with children and all this shit. And it's like, you get to a point where it's just like, this is detrimental to our political movement because we're so tolerant. We allow every crazy behavior and every crazy person to just have the megaphone.
Like every person like you, Kyle, we let in, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like we just
Yeah.
let you guys come in with your helmets and
Yeah, I mean,
You're
it,
minarchy.
Every status of his brother.
I just kind of think like it's self-defeating. I want that balance. Like I want people to feel like they're free to speak their minds, but some of this stuff like really reflects poorly on the party and really reflects poorly on us.
well, and the Mises Caucus did right by. I mean, and they had intentions of doing it even before. Bless you. Even
Thanks.
before Hudak said anything, they were already looking into this, and finally they got the proof that was needed, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Yeah, you're gone. Like we don't."
Well,
like,
it's interesting. There's no tolerance for white nationalism, I think, in general, but there is tolerance for communists, for sure. I mean, you have
Well,
the
that's it.
audacious caucus
yeah.
is mostly anti-capitalist, mostly communist identifying.
Well, that's why Mike Shipley's
And,
not welcome in the Mises Caucus.
Yeah, he's not welcome in the caucus, but he's in the party, and he's welcome in the party. And a lot of those guys are very far left anarchists or far left communists.
And fair enough. I'll say Fakertarians has done a good job of calling out the guys like Kunal and who are tankies, who say that they're like left libertarian or you know.
What's Hudak's relationship with Shipley?
I mean,
Does he support Shipley? Does he call
No.
Shipley out?
Not really as much as he would say call out other like actual tankies like communists, like Stalinists and shit and Maoists.
Right.
So, they have gone through as a group and called out those people and got their screenshots of them saying some really awful things and saying like the Holodomor never happened.
I've generally liked the work that they've done.
I'm still in the group. There's
but
a lot of the leftists though are really taking victory over this, and they've come out in full force.
Yeah.
And it's just like every post is just like making fun of
I mean,
Tom
just
Woods.
I don't think it's
and-
fair. Yeah, I mean, it's just not fair to
Yeah.
like attack Tom Woods and Dave Smith as fake libertarians. I mean, look, you can call them out for things that they've done. I don't see a problem with calling people out. I'm sure I've said stuff that people could call me out on. But to call me a fake libertarian because I might have said one or two things that you don't agree with,
right?
or
Yeah.
that you see
I
that you
don't
think
know.
run contrary to
But
whatever
if
you're.
you got caught in like a private chat saying, you know what, I really hate black people and black people are inferior to white people and I feel like they should be subjugated and they shouldn't be allowed to do certain things that other people like, then that's good. There's something there. You're not joking.
Okay.
Like there's some
Yeah.
deep-seated stuff that you're trying to hide.
Yeah,
from
and that's
people
when you have like a Cantwell or a what's his name, the fucking
unsuck a dick, dude.
the pagan dude.
Oh, Evictus.
Yeah.
Yeah, Augustus.
Yeah, I mean that's when you
Chase
have
Rachel's
people like
is the
that.
Chase
But if
Rachel,
you're
yes,
talking
thank you.
about Dave Smith, who like 99% of the work that he's done is just straight up just like liberty,
Right.
and then you have 1% where he's talking to some unsavory characters that you can question and say like, is that a good idea, man? Like,
even having
but I don't know if
Cantwell-
that.
yeah,
what's that?
even having Cantwell on that show was very controversial.
Sure, I
It's
remember
like
when it
you're
happened.
giving a platform to a
I mean,
guy.
I thought it was a bad idea at the time, but I wasn't gonna like stop listening to him after
Yeah.
that.
Well, they'll condemn you for that, right? Now you're supporting a guy who supports them, and now you deserve to be
Legit, you would be.
thrown
in
under the
group,
bus as well.
If they paid
right?
attention to what we said, which maybe in a few months they'll dig up this
they'll-
audio.
It's guilt by
find, like,
association,
They'll find Matt making Jew jokes
or you just didn't
make
go.
a fucking soundboard of it.
I got my card, son.
It's like Phil
You-
raped
you-
couches
They-
when he
that's-
was a kid.
They do work that way, I mean, it's not just that you're not that
reminds me of
guy,
a
but if
picture,
you
a
if,
meme.
if
I'll
you
show
didn't
later.
join in throwing rocks at that guy, then you're just as guilty as that guy, right? I mean, that's how they think. That's how they work. So,
Yeah, I was listening to this episode of Rogan, and this woman was on. Her name's Melissa Chen or something, and she's some kind of like, I guess she's conservative. Actually, I don't know. I think she's sort of like classical liberal or whatever.
nice. So am I.
But she
Couch has
runs
got an
some
erection.
organization that helps to like distribute like distribute books and stuff to like places like Saudi Arabia and things like that to sort of
nerd.
like spawn like an enlightenment kind of thing. Like they're trying to spread ideas
Yeah.
and get them out of the grips of like totalitarian religious regimes.
Theocracy. Yeah.
So anyways, but she was talking, they always, Joe Rogan, a lot of his podcasts tend to go towards like free speech and like
DMT.
deplatforming and DMT. And so anyway, she brought up this sort of concept where, and I think this was a concept that was used to identify like Jews during the Holocaust, but like basically it was like if there's one drop of blood in your system that's Jewish, like if any portion of your genetics is Jewish, like you're Jewish, right? And so you're taken to the death camp. And so these like leftists or even people on the right even are using this sort of principle to say like, okay, it doesn't matter what you've done, but as soon as you associate, as soon as Joe Rogan has like Ben Shapiro on his podcast, suddenly he is a right winger,
That sounds like anti-Semitic that they would even do that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of does. So it's like just by virtue of having somebody on a show. And it'd be one thing if all Joe Rogan had was like nothing but right wing people. If it was just all Ben Shapiro, Nick Fuentes, or whatever.
Kyle Wagner.
But he had Bernie Sanders, for God's sakes. He had Tulsi Gabbard. He had all sorts of people on the left.
Yeah, I think I mistakenly thought Joe Rogan was more libertarian. And didn't he like endorse Bernie or something? He didn't. Or say something positive about Bernie. And I was just like, hey, maybe I assumed that he was something that he's not, just because he had Ron Paul on or something like that. Like I really thought, or because
he have Ron Paul on?
I don't know if he did.
He had Gary Johnson on.
Okay, he had Gary on, and he's pro marijuana legalization. Kind of, so I was like, this guy's one of us, right?
He's not. But he's not ideological though. He's just like open-minded. I don't think he digs into these. He doesn't spend a lot of time on the stuff that we spend time on.
Yeah.
His interests are pretty varied. He's running a podcast. He has all sorts of different people on. I can't blame the guy for not being like an ideologically pure libertarian.
Yeah.
But I think generally, he favors, drug legalization. He favors ending wars. He favors a lot of stuff that we favor.
Yeah.
I don't think he's on our, I don't think he's like on our team,
Well,
but I don't think he's against us.
It was really fucking cool. I don't know, it's kind of a little bit off topic, but he had Ray Capo on last week. Did you hear that episode?
No.
Oh man, it was really good. Ray Capo of the band Youth of Today and Shelter. He's like a Krishna monk for a while, and he's like now like this legendary yoga instructor, and he's like, oh man, it was a really good episode. I listened to it, I was like, it was like 3 hours just like powerful, deep, like life questioning, moments. I'm like, God damn, like this is awesome. Like I'll
have to check that one out.
It's probably because I don't listen to Rogan, so I only listen to like when there's like an interesting person that comes on there like once in a while. And so of course, the Youth Today was like one of my favorite bands as a kid, and I was like, oh my God, I have to check this out, and it was really fucking cool, and I recommend anyone listen to that. But
nice.
yeah, so I never pegged Joe Rogan as a libertarian, just kind of like guy who's just willing to talk to anybody.
I think he actually had Adam Kokesh
I think
on
that's
back
accurate.
in the day.
Yeah.
That's how I'd.
What's that?
I listen to him quite a bit. Not every time.
Yeah.
Some of those episodes are 3, 4, 5 hours long.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I see him as kind of a social liberal that's pretty fair, but also pretty open-minded, and will talk to almost anybody.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure if it came down to it, he could be convinced of, libertarianism, perhaps.
I thought Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew, who I listened to, were they're tending toward libertarianism, but like, and to some extent,
now Adam's on this whole stop and frisk thing.
Yeah,
where he's like all in favor of stop and frisk.
He's in favor of stop and frisk, and he's like, I'm gonna say pro-war to a large extent. He's like, these people are crazy. We need to, keep them down. He's like, these are religious zealots, and we need to occupy these countries and make sure that they're kept in check. This is where
being too pragmatic and too common sense can be your enemy.
Yeah.
When you think like, oh yeah, it's common sense. Like, these are religious extremists. We should kill them. And it doesn't work like that. Like there are complexities. There are, all sorts of different consequences, unseen consequences that happen.
Well, it's just the revenge principle, right? It's like, hey, you killed somebody's kid, so now they're going to want to get you back.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That should be a very simple concept for everyone to understand, and he should understand it. Because he's a smart guy. But, if you want to talk about building regulations and building codes in California, you will think he's a libertarian because he's like, this shit is absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
You know, he was like, we installed all these light switches in the warehouse at 44 inches, and the inspector came in and said they had to be lowered 2 inches because for handicap regulations, they're supposed to be 42 is the maximum, not 44. So we had to rip out all these light switches and lower them 2 inches so that people in wheelchairs could reach them. But he's like, I know they could reach a 44-inch light switch, and the ones that were already in there that were code, they just matched the ones that were already installed. So, you know, they shouldn't have to redo the entire thing. Anyway,
Right. Yeah.
he's really good on that kind of
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff he does sound good on, but yeah, he's not a libertarian. You know, he's
No,
he's not.
I wouldn't say so. And neither is Dr. Drew. But I am really interested in their thoughts and in the homeless crisis in California.
Yeah. I mean,
I love
don't,
that topic.
You know, I listen to people that aren't libertarians. You know, it's not like
Yeah,
I'd have be pretty bored if I didn't.
Yeah, I have to do. The other day, I took a break from it. I don't know. I wasn't in the mood. I was just, I guess it was after the whole Fakertarians thing blew out. I was just like, God damn,
I knew
so
that
done
was
with
going
the
to
drama
bug
and
you.
stuff.
I knew that was going to bug you. And
It bugged me a
another
lot.
thing about that drama I think about too is I'm like, so here we have the Mises Caucus, which is a caucus of the LP. So it's like, and the LP itself is like barely relevant in the political world, right? The world is watching the Democratic primary right now.
Exactly.
But here we have within this almost irrelevant party, you know, this tiny caucus, and we have all this drama and infighting, and it's like, guys, like we're so insignificant, but like we have all this infighting.
But there comes a time when there's like a wave of people that just come against you. It's almost like, where are you coming? Like really? Like you're gonna come on us? And it just shows that there's a level of success that the Mises Caucus is reaching, where it's starting to threaten even a party as minute and irrelevant as the Libertarian Party. Like it's weird. It's just weird to see that dichotomy like unfold. You know, it's weird. I don't
Yeah.
know. There's something to it. It's just like it makes you question it. Like
First the LP, then the world. You think maybe,
Yeah,
or
hopefully.
you know, or are you fighting
Taking over this bitch.
Are you fighting over who gets to, you know, basically? I'm trying to think of example of something that's not super important. You know, the king of Greenland or something like. You know what I mean? Like, are you fighting over to be the king of an inconsequential country?
How dare you talk about King Glucomen like that? All right.
King who?
I don't know. I just made that up.
Glucomen?
Yeah, Glucomen.
I wish I could think of a better analogy.
That was
right?
a terrible analogy.
I know. I'm
The
just
King
like,
of Greenland. That's the podcast title.
The King of Greenland.
like,
No, I like Buttplug out.
like, is it a stepping stone to bigger, greater things, or is this really fighting? Like, what does it really matter?
I just
To-
want
to
the
control
Libertarian
the
Party
LP.
to represent my values, and the Mises Caucus is that.
Well,
I just
so
want
does-
them to represent libertarian values. you
Right.
know?
Which is my
Which are
value.
your values.
I mean, everybody does. Everybody wants the LP to represent them and their views, but at the end of the day, it's still
I just
you
want to
conquered
like
the LP,
smear
you know?
feces over all your values.
But it's but it's not. You know, look, there are things that I'm going to disagree with. You know, even Phil on, but.
What?
There are basic values that I think are like shouldn't be that controversial.
Yeah.
Like you should be able to say like, you know, like what was the thing that they were like refusing to like put on the in their platform or whatever. There was like a huge debate last year about it.
Well, we had
Sex work?
the sex work was a
that
huge
was the last
thing.
convention.
Right. Okay.
Sex work was controversial. Abortion has been
Oh,
very,
that's always.
well,
That's always.
very
that's gonna be-
controversial.
See, that's one where I'm like, look, it doesn't necessarily have to reflect my value.
like I understand it.
But if it's something like just the non-aggression principle, just basic common shit like that, and if that's in dispute, which it seems to be, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, if the nap is in dispute, it's like, okay, bye. You know,
Bitch. Yeah. We got time for another
Let's
topic?
do a little coronavirus.
I don't know, man. I think we're gonna take it on over to after hours, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you guys want to follow the rest of this, hit us up at patreon.com/punk rock libertarians. Contribute a minimum of $1 per month.
Or do the $10 one like Tyler just did. Tyler's my boy. And
yeah, I mean, hell yeah. If you want
$10,
to
man, get your
contribute
free
more,
t-shirt,
that's
man.
like fucking awesome. But you can contribute as minimum as $1 per month, and you help keep the lights on down here. And Yeah, I mean, and you'll gain access to our After Hours program. The other thing, we have T-shirts over at libertariancountry.com. If you type in the code PRL or the code PRL podcast, you'll receive a 10% discount. And I think Jared had something to say.
Yeah, so check out libertypodcastranker.com. It's a little hub that I set up for all the different Liberty podcasts. We've got like 105 different podcasts on there right now. So you can log on there, check them out, and then vote for your favorites. So, vote for us. Also, along those lines, you can help support us without any money by going onto iTunes and giving us a nice, a sweet review.
Yeah, really any place that does
Yeah.
podcast reviews.
Yeah, any, like your podcast app, Google. I think maybe you can leave reviews on Google Podcasts, iTunes,
Subscribe
Pocket
on
Cast.
YouTube.
Yeah, like you could,
Subscribe.
because you
YouTube.
can
We're on YouTube.
tremendously help us with these things.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on
Kyle's on Grindr.
Instagram. Yeah, dude, check out the Instagram.
Phil is killing it over at the gram.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'm destroying. I'm like
Oh my
slaying
God.
all sorts of pussy over on the Instagram.
Wow.
Wait, you're slaying pussy
I
on
don't know.
Instagram? Really? I somehow doubt that.
But dude, Instagram's lit, Twitter, everything, and the Discord. We can't forget about the Discord.
Yeah, we have a Discord server now. If you know what that is,
Join
get
it.
on it.
It's like a live chat, right?
I'll have to post a link in the show notes.
Do it. Post the link. You need to make more show notes.
Wow, dude.
How dare you?
Just put them in just copy and paste
get
from
called
a
out by Phil.
standard thing.
That's right.
All right, that's it. That's it from me.
All right, well, until next time, live free.
Or die.